All right, on Bare Knuckle Bowker, very excited to be talking to an individual set to compete at BKB 47, a massive co-main event matchup set for October 18th as Marko Martinjak enters the ring with the pursuit of trying to become a two-division BKFC or BKB champion, rather, as he is the super cruiserweight champion, and trying to do that against an individual who very much has a say in that matter, looking to stop that pursuit from Marko Martinjak in this bridgerweight title match. And great having the BKB bridgerweight champion Dan Podmore on Bare Knuckle Bowker today. How you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you, mate.
No, it's nice getting to have you on though and everything. And it seems like this fight has kind of been in the works for a while. I mean, a lot of fans have certainly been hoping for a fight like this for quite a while, but it seems like the discourse even ramped up that much more after your last fight where you defended the bridgerweight belt. So like when did the promotion, I guess, initially formally reach out to you, about this fight getting locked in?
Um, well, it was me that sort of asked for the fight, to be honest, because Marco he'd expressed interest when we fought in Wolverhampton. When I actually won the bout, won the bridgerweight title against Ryan Barrett. He was saying that he wants to fight Dan Podmore, he wants to fight for the bridgerweight title and this, that, and the other. And I was like, yeah, yeah, no problem. So I had, you know, I thought that he might have asked for the fight after that show, but he seen me beat Ryan Barrett the way I did. But then, like I said, when we was in the back, was doing the pads. Um, I was warming up and I was hitting the pads, and it was like when I was hitting the pads, it was like gunshots going off, boom, 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 boom. Everyone turned around in the locker room. It was like, what's that sort of thing? And it was just me hitting pads, and then even Marco turned around. I think he was a bit like, whoa, you know what I mean? Everyone a bit taken back of the sounds and the power of the punches on the pads and stuff. So now after that, I would have thought that he would have, after his fight, because he was main event of that show, I thought that he may have called me out there and then, but didn't. Now I don't know why that was or the reason for that, but I was expecting him to do that. But then it went totally deadly. It was totally went dead. It went silent. And it was only after what show was it? There was a show in America. Was it Tennessee? Might be, I don't know. It was something like that. It was one of the shows where Marco was on it. Ike Villanueva was on it. Hatch was on it. And obviously they've all won, and then they've all started to pipe up saying that they wanted to fight me. But there was, other than that, there was no word of anybody wanting to fight me. I was asking to fight them, and I was getting no answers. I was saying, look, no, he's busy, he's this, he's that. And I'm like, hold on a second, I'm the champion here. And I'm asking to fight these guys. These guys, right? When if I'm having to ask for a fight, should be dropping whatever fight they've had. If they really want to be champion, they're gonna want to fight the champion. But none of them seemed wanting to fight. So I found that very, very, very strange. So yeah, I was asking for all the top five. Um, and no one come back saying they wanted it. So then they come up with the Emil Markic fight. So which was which ended up being a great fight.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that fight at some point during this interview, but it does strike me as very interesting. Like, I guess I'm trying to find a way to phrase this because I mean, it might be information that you're not even privy to per se, but you were talking about trying to set up that, fight with Martin Yak even prior to your last outing there and everything. Like, what do
Yeah.
you think maybe shifted in terms of like that fight not getting booked then versus it being locked in now?
I'm not too sure. Like I said, Mark had his chance after the Wolverhampton show, but he said, "Do you want to?" When was it? It might have been one of the commentators said to him, "Who do you want to fight next?" He goes, "Oh, well, I'll let the BKB decide." You know what I mean? Now, surely he'd say, "Right now, I want Dan Podmore," because that's what he said after his on the last show. You know what I mean? So, so if he really wanted to fight me, then it was. I thought he definitely would have wanted to do it then, sort of thing. So I think we could have fought already by now. You know what I mean? So I've been, I haven't been as active as what I would like to have been. I would have liked to have had three or four this year. You know what I mean? And I'm only going to have possibly two, possibly three. So yeah, I think that we could have got the fight settled and done sooner. But yeah, like, who knows what the contributing factors are? You know, I'm just here to fight. That's all I'm. So
No, fair enough. It just must be such a frustrating position because, like you said, you're the champion, and you would think that if any contender in the top five or just any contender in general was presented a fight for the belt, that they would, really want to get in there. But I guess it just speaks to, I don't know, maybe the presence you have or something like that. Because I mean, I believe we talked about this in the last interview, even where it's like the people in the bare knuckle scene really know, what you bring to the table and everything like that. But it still must be frustrating to, be the champion and not be as active as you would like to be.
yeah, well, but I'd like to think that and all of these guys, they're gonna, their trainers are gonna know that, this. They're going to see me fight and they're going to think, oh, this guy's a handful. You know what I mean? So, because I'm a handful for anybody on any given night, I'm a problem. Um, I guess that's probably a possibility, but as we said, I can't really say to what the actual the problem has been. To be fair, but um, yeah, but like I said, I'm here to fight, and I want to fight. I always want to fight. It's but I'm not being able to do it has been very, it's been not too good to be fair. Because I want to be out there earning. I want to be out there fighting. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I've had one fight this year, and I could have had two or three. I feel like I'm still the challenger, and I'm the hungry lion still wanting to fight the champion. But even though I'm the champion, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like still hungry to fight. Um, who knows? Who knows? It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the important thing is the fight's locked in now and everything. And I think fans that have followed Bare Knuckle for a while, like even when BKB was in the prior regime, like when it was a separate entity prior to the acquisition and
Yeah,
everything like that, like both of you guys were so prominent on that circuit, both collecting multiple titles. So I think this is a fight that fans have been looking forward to for, quite a few years now. So it must be cool to kind of be at the center of something like that.
yeah. So I think this it's always to be well. It's always nice to be the main stage sort of thing. I think that me and Marco should have been main event. Um, I think Tyler Goodjohn and Paulie Malignaggi because they got shifted from the Bristol card to the Leeds card, and that automatically then took main events. But I think out of respect for me and Marco being champ versus champ, which is basically a super fight in the BKB organisation, then we should have took presidents. That we should have took top spots, sort of thing. So Tyler Goodjohn is on the way out, and Paulie Malignaggi hasn't won a fight in many years. So I'm not sure how many people would like to see that fight. Maybe some people do, but I think people want to see me and Marco more so. Yeah, so I think I think he's the same as me. He's a four-time world champion in three different weight classes. So I think people are starting to forget that. That's what they're the accolades I have. I've won four world titles. So and I know Marco was after my title, but as soon as this fight's done and when I win, I want his title. So I'll be dropping down to Super Cruiser again, and then I'll be going for his title. So and there's no way that he can come up into my division and take this belt. There's no way, absolutely no way.
Yeah, how would you, I guess, describe your feeling with the card placement? Because I mean, I totally hear where you're coming from. Like, if we're talking about, I guess, like, and not any slight to Malignaggi or Goodjohn per se, but if we're talking about like meritocracy of where people go on a card, you would think a champ versus champ super fight would be the headliner. Like, do you feel any particular type of way about your card placement?
It's exactly that, just exactly that. I think you think that champ versus champ. two of the top of the guys in the BKB organizations. You know what I mean? So Marco's considered to be one of the pound for pound. You know what I mean? I want to be there and be that guy also. No, um, so I want to be there as well. I want to be recognised as uh, pound for pound. You know what I mean? So he's Marco's banged on as saying he's the pound for pound of he's the goat of the upper divisions. But then he has got the same accolades as me. So what does that say? What does that say for me? When I'm still flying under the radar. I mean, I'm still um, not as out there as these other guys. So I know when you talk about multi division world champions, you think of like the LT Smashes and the Barry Joneses, Jimmy Sweeneys, and the Marcos. My name never comes up, so it's a bit strange because I've only ever fought anybody that's been put in front of me, and yeah, and that's the best I can do. So,
Yeah, and
so
I
I
think
think,
I'm. No, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. Now, I think the placement of the card was that out of respect for me and Marco. You know what I mean? And I can wholeheartedly speak for him as well because we've had a conversation saying that he's disrespectful us being co-main, so that should have been our card. But like I said, I'm not here to cry over spilt milk. I'm here to fight, and that's what I'm going to do.
And I guess just even while we're still on the topic, like, do you have any particular thought on how that Paulie Malignaggi versus Tyler Goodjohn fight plays out? Like you were talking about how Paulie hasn't won a fight in a while, and you referred to
Yeah,
Goodjohn as someone who seems like he's on the way out per your estimation. But like, what do you see,
yeah.
I guess, transpiring in that fight there?
Well, Tyler's already come out and said this is his last hurrah. So, and there's no better way to do it other than to fight someone like Paulie Malignaggi. He's a legend in the boxing world. But then Paulie's 0-1 in bare knuckle. He fought Artem Lobov and lost. Um, Hold on a second. I'm on the. Um, so yeah, Paulie's on the is yet to get a win in the bare knuckle. Now, he's getting on a bit. So's Tyler. You know what I mean? Tyler's took a lot of damage throughout his BKB career. He's not the same fighter as he once was. And Paulie Malignaggi, like I said, he hasn't fought. He hasn't fought. He's had a long, long while. So um, it's going to be an interesting fight. Don't get me wrong. I do want to see that fight. But like I said, I think people want to see champ versus champ first, more so.
Yeah, for sure. I think the hardcore bare knuckle fans who regularly follow the circuit definitely get what you're saying
Absolutely.
ultimately. But I mean, I guess even with a fight like that, like a name like Paulie Malignaggi obviously carries a certain level of cachet where perhaps
Yeah, of
there's
course.
maybe a certain level of additional attention on the card. And you are talking about how you kind of curiously fly under the radar despite multiple division accolades. Like, could this serve maybe as like a vehicle for you to, get that much more attention on you and maybe get the kind of discourse around you ramping up to where it should be, just the attention that Paulie fight might draw in?
Well, that's what. Well, this is what I'm hoping. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that West. This. I will cement the legacy even more so beating Marco. I think I've got nothing else left to prove yet. Anyway, I think so. I'm a four-time world champion. I've got nothing else to prove. I mean, I've been world champion. I've done it 4 times, but I still strive to be. I strive to test myself and put myself in those positions where what's going to happen next, sort of thing. So I want to always go out and test myself with the best people. I want to be one of the best, if not the best. So the best should fight the best, and that's what me and Marco are doing. So we're going to be seeing who the man is on the night.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff and obviously a super exciting contest. But I do feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on that last one, that Emil Markic victory at BKB 40. I mean, just what an incredible fight. I mean, getting those fight of the night accolades by many people that watched it. And I mean, for my money, one of the great bare knuckle fights of the calendar year, if not just in this modern iteration of the sport. Like, what were your, I guess, primary takeaways from that fight? Because I feel like you showed a lot of dimension to your overall game as a bare knuckle fighter in retaining your belt on that occasion.
Yeah, well, I don't think the average fan will really appreciate what was actually really going on in that fight. But what actually really was going on was there's a lot of technicality, a lot of skill. If people didn't know that Markic was a WBO European champion, and he was also a two-time world champion in two other organisations, pro gloved. So, and I didn't know this before I fought him. It was only when my coach told me that what he was after, because he didn't want me fighting the perception of the man. He just wanted me to fight who the guy that was in front of me. And that's basically what I did. And I just did my job, and stopped him from getting started. So every time that he was just about to get started, I stopped it. You know what I mean? I was stifling all his work, and I was trying to flip the jab out and keep busy. Yeah, so the game plan that me and my coach had at the time absolutely worked a treat. You know what I mean? So it was we absolutely smashed out the park, and I say it was only when I thought I was winning the fight. Halfway through the fight, I thought, yeah, this fight's done. It's done. I've got him. I've got him. Did he then pull out some more? He pulled out the bag and then started to come back into the fight. You know what I mean? I think that was his pro experience. He started to come back, even though when I thought he was done, his face was becoming a mess, and then he started to land shots on me, but then my face started to become a mess. So in the last two rounds, I couldn't actually see a thing. My eyes were like, it's like I was fighting shadows, So I went back to my corner after the fifth. I says, Mike, I can't see. I can't see. He says, well, can you give me 3 more minutes of focus? I said, yeah, of course, no problem. But it was like trying to fight, squinting your eyes. It was hard, but we've done the job. Look, I think I stayed busy. I think I won, I'd say, at least 4 rounds in that fight. And which means the world to me, because I actually outboxed the world champion and world level pro boxer. You know what I mean? So, and he was a WBO international European champion. So, and I've never ever been like that level. You know what I mean? So I've always fought white collar and all that sort of stuff, and all the lower level stuff, man. But seeing as how I've moved gym, and we've worked on a few things. I feel like I'm finding my feet now, and I'm already the champion. So I'm finding my feet now, and I'm already the champion. So what does that mean for me in the future? So because I'm finding my feet here, and the rest of the guys are still here. So I'm only going to get to here. So the levels that I will fight at are only going to improve, and I'm getting better and better with every fight. So, and there's one more thing I'd like to add. Emil Markic actually beats Martinjak in the amateurs. So that's another fun fact for the day. So basically, I'm not going to try to use that much more of uh, anything more than what it is. You know what I mean? That might have been a long time ago. You know what I mean? See, Marco's got a hell of a lot better, but I think that Markic was also a very difficult, tricky fight. That was a hard fight. I'm excited to see what's going to happen between Marko. If he wins, I know that he's done his homework, and he deserves it, because I don't plan on losing, and we're coming for the win, and and like I say, he's coming up to my weight where I feel most comfortable now. I feel most comfortable, and seeing as how he's been knocked out by 185 during a match before, then he's going to be hit by 225 down Podmore, and it's going to be different. It's going to be different for him, and I think that because he has to put the weight on, I think that might be a bit of a detriment to him. But we'll see when he's got a 230, 235 pound guy on him on the night. You know what I mean? So I cut down from 245 to get down to 225. So I'll put easily £10 back on overnight. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be a big heavy guy. So we'll soon see how he deals with that. But I'm excited, and I'm sure Marco's excited. I know we both come in to win. I know that he thinks he can win, and I know that I can go win that fight also. So it's be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, both of you have such deep toolboxes as kind of embodied by the performances you guys have
Yeah,
had, like very, defensively responsible, great composure, just like all the attributes one would hope to have in bare knuckle. But it would seem like one of the big defining variables is kind of, essentially what you said, just the inherent size difference that exists there. Like, do you think that's one of the bigger, if not the biggest variables in this fight that kind of favors you in your estimation? It seems like how you're breaking it down that that's kind of the case.
well, I know Marco's a tall man anyway. He's tall, he's not as big and as wide as me, but he's 6'1". I'm 6 foot. So he's got a little bit of a height advantage. He's probably got a little bit of a reach advantage as well because he's got those long arms. But I don't think he's ever come up with someone that. For me, I've got like a freakishly good engine for a big man. I can go on forever and ever. So doing 6 threes against Markic, I was had I not caught any fight marks like the swelling, and I could have gone for another 10. My engine's like really really good, so it's freakishly good. So it's whether Marco can put that weight on and still have a good engine and be as good as mine. But I can be strong and fit throughout the whole fight. I can be a dangerous at any point. So we'll soon see. We'll soon see.
Yeah, and we've been talking about your title accolades. You had previously held the heavyweight title under the, BKB regime when they were in more of the conventional
Yeah.
squared circle dynamic. But just curious to get your thoughts on the upcoming BKB 48 fight as BKB's heavyweight champion Gustavo Trujillo takes on Tony Johnson Jr. Do you have any thoughts on that particular fight coming up in November?
I think Tony Johnson is very dangerous. He held the BKB heavyweight title before when it was the old BKB. Um, he's going to be. I think he's going to be stiffest Gustavo Trujillo's stiffest test. I think I think the fight between Trujillo and Solakowski should still go ahead at some point. I think Camille he just thoroughly deserves that fight. Um, and I think that could be a problem for Gustavo. Um, I think Tony's is going to give it Trujillo back. You know what I mean? Because we've not come up against he's not come up against anybody that's willing to stand there and give it him back. Tony's a big man, so yeah, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be interesting to see, because yeah, I do keep my eye on the heavyweight division still, because that's a possibility for me to go back up to if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as of right now, I'm going to have to box off the bridgerweight division, and then see what happens after this fight.
Yeah, for sure. And as we're talking, you're obviously squarely focused on Martinjak, but I bring up BKB 48 as well because,
Yeah.
I mean, conceivably the next opponent for you, if you get your ideal outcome in this fight, just with Jerome Hatch and Ike Villanueva preparing for what, by all accounts, looks to be a bridgerweight title eliminator, just with the 2 and 3
Yeah.
rankings distinction there. Like, what are your thoughts on that particular fight?
Well, I knew them two guys were fighting anyway. I was speaking to Mel the last show, and I said I can welcome both of those guys. When if and when I defeat Marco, I'm happy to fight any of those guys. You know, yeah, and I don't think they stand a chance to be fair. But like I said, I'll be having a close eye on that fight also, and I think it should be a good fight. Um, like I said, but it's so I think Ike's the bigger man. Um, yeah, it's we're gonna see. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So, but like I said, it's at this particular moment in time, them two aren't. I'm not really too relatively bothered about Ike or Jerome Hatch. I say it's Marco at the minute, and it's been Marco for a while. I've been wanting to fight Marco for a while. Um, four, 6 to 4 weeks before then they announced it, I knew I was fighting Marko. So we've been preparing for Marko. So I'm not gonna delve into anything else past that at the minute because my sights are firmly set on Marko Martinjak. So and um, and then we'll see afterwards. But like I said, I'm happy to take any fight with any man. And Ike and Jerome, they both can get it the same way. It's not a problem. Like I said, I like Ike. Ike's a really nice guy. Jerome Hatch, on the other hand, is a bit more disrespectful. He's got a problem with me, and I've got no problem in extinguishing that problem. No problem. So
What
it's
is the problem Hatch has with you, you think?
I ain't got a clue, mate. To be honest, he's calling me a pussy and this, that, and the other, and I don't even know the guy. You know, usual disrespectful tactics to try talk his way into a fight, maybe, but uh, he'll have a big problem if he ever gets in the ring with me. He's gonna find out. Like I said, you fuck about, you will find out. So he will find out 100%.
Well, it just seems like you have so many exciting options. Like this Marko Martinjak fight is obviously the nucleus of that sentiment. I mean, a
Yeah,
fight that for someone like myself, even who's been following the respective careers of yourself and Marko, just for my
yeah,
money, one of the better fights you can make in all of the bare knuckle landscape and everything. But seems like you have some cool options too. Like you're talking about super cruiserweight and heavyweight as well. So just really exciting
yeah.
times, Dan. But I also do want to be mindful of your time and see if maybe you had a final parting thought you wanted to add as we're kind of wrapping up here. I really appreciate your time today.
I just want to wish Marco a happy, healthy camp, as he did with me also. I can't wait to see what happens on the night. Like I said, I'm coming to win, so you better know that. And I just want to thank all the fans for watching, tuning in. Thank my sponsors. If without them, this I can't be doing what I'm doing. I just want to thank the BKB as well, just for helping me continue with the legacy. And yeah, I'll keep fighting until I can't fight no more. And I look forward to putting on a show on the next show.
Yeah, and it's cool that it's so much easier to check out now, being that it's on Vice TV and everything like
Yeah,
that. So that's a cool piece as well.
absolutely. It's the more coverage, the better. You know what I mean? The more it gets us out there, the better. The more the sport grows, the more money we can get, and help. I just want to help. I've been helping for a long, long time. I've been doing the BKB for 7, 8 years. I've been there since BKB. I was supposed to fight on BKB 4, but I actually fought on BKB 7. So I've been in around in the circuit for a long, long time. So I think it's 2017, I think it was. So
Yeah,
so
and then
it's
you
been
fought on that. Yeah, sorry, I was just gonna say. Then you fought on that last show they had under the previous regime before the
yeah,
merger and everything as well.
yeah,
So just so well entrenched with that brand, it must be really cool to see the kind of spotlight it's getting now, just relative to I guess your anecdotal journey with the promotion.
absolutely. I'm sitting here and I'm happy to grow with the sport. It's absolutely fantastic. I seeing all the changes and even like the new rule set and learning the new rule set and how the guys in the BYB was fighting and stuff like that. So it's all good stuff, and it's only going to go onwards and upwards.
Yeah, definitely wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment. But super stoked to check out this champ versus champ fight against Marko Martinjak, a super exciting fight at BKB
Absolutely,
47.
yeah,
So yeah, thanks so much for coming on Bare Knuckle Bowker ahead of this great
no
fight on
problem.
October 18th, Dan. And yeah, all the best with the remainder of the preparations, man. Looking forward to peeping the fight when it goes down. But until then, you have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and you, sir.